Planning your Saturday night can be a bit of a bitch.
Saturday night is the loneliest night in the week.
Well, it doesn't have to be. Load up Toxic Radio every Saturday night for the Heavy Metal Happy Hour with the one and only Fishman.
I know that, dude.
There will be interviews, ticket giveaways, a little bit of banter with Toxic Mike, and of course great metal from the 80s all the way through today. Starts at 7 p.m., runs until Fish says it's over.
Everyone get out!
Catch it only on Toxic Radio. Don't play it safe. Play it toxic. Hey guys, dating life gone pretty shitty?
I find you so creepy I think you should have to walk around with a bell around your neck.
Finding yourself getting a little desperate for some female companionship?
Alexa, tell me you love me.
Hell no. You disgust me.
What you need is to upgrade your style right now. The Toxic Store's got exactly what you need. Pick up some stylish gear featuring Deviant Gamer, Toxic Radio, and the Heavy Metal Happy Hour.
Oh, yeah!
You can find the store through the Toxic Radio app or toxicradio.net. Get in the game.
Do I make you horny, baby?
Get yourself a little love.
That guy's getting boobies.
Yeah, he is.
Toxic Radio and the Toxic Store. Don't buy it safe. Buy it toxic. Once every generation, there comes an event that alters how we perceive our world. That changes our expectations of what is possible. This is not really one of those events. But hey, Toxic Radio has a brand new studio, and that fucking rocks. So join us in celebrating our excellent new home. Toxic Radio. Awesomer than ever before. What? That is so a word.
For Hope Nation, your host here, Reckless Donnie Hart, and I have my co-host over here,
Big time Tim Gorgeous.
That's the best introduction in all podcasting world, brother. Keep it up. And we also have Yanni the Greek. Yanni?
The man just needed to be away from the studio to miss it a little bit. Now he's back, and he's really bringing the pain. There you go, Tim. Way to start it.
Yanni, great to have us. Yeah, as we know, everybody's back in the studio for the first time in a few weeks. We battled COVID, but like life, man, we fought back and we got back up. And speaking of getting back up when life knocks you out, we are joined by our guest Janine Kirby. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you for having me on. Great to be here. You got a great place here.
Thank you for coming. You do a lot of work with also Mind Your Brain, the Mind Your Brain Foundation, correct?
Yes, I do. I'm very lucky to have the foundation.
And they are a nonprofit?
Yes. All their services are free and, yes, available to anyone.
So Janine, you know, our show's all about hope and people who overcome stuff. And with you on the show, you're a survivor in every essence of the word. You're a survivor of brain injury. You also fought addiction, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
And so you do this Mind Your Brain thing, but tell me back, how did you become a survivor of brain injury? Tell me more about you, Janine. Tell Hungry for Hope Nation about Janine.
Thank you. I really appreciate the platform to do so. I'm Irish. We like to tell tales.
There you go.
Definitely.
Me too.
Uh-huh. So in 2009, I was 30 years old, and I knew that I was in trouble. I was in active addiction. My life was spiraling down, you know, but I had a job. I had a house, roof over my head. You know how that goes. You don't think you have a problem until you try to stop. Needless to say, I got myself clean and sober and started a new life.
And what year exactly was this?
That was 2009.
2009. And
yes.
And like you said, you had the perfect life. So, you know, from the outside, you hear that so much So sometimes as addicts, we're so good at hiding stuff. Do you feel that, making it look like from the outside, like
Lying to yourself. I told the most lies to myself, and I totally believed them. You know, I thought I have everything under control. But it was a tough start. But when I started, yeah, my life was starting to be beyond my wildest dreams. I mean, I was starting to be independent. I started to love this redhead I was looking at in the mirror.
oh,
Myself.
I like that.
Yeah, and I doing well. I got promotions at work. I had a great tribe of friends. It was just amazing. Life was beyond my wildest dreams. And in 2012, 12 to be exact, the only 3 numbers I can remember in succession.
What a date, right?
Yeah. I was at work. I was a project manager for a construction supply company. And there was a hazmat spill. So as a supervisor, I had to clean up the hazmat spill. So I was underneath some scaffolding. And when I got the spill cleaned up, when I came to swing out from underneath the scaffolding, a steel beam swung in. And we met on the right side of my head. I was immediately couldn't move the right side of my body. I was nauseous, vomiting. I'm underneath the scaffolding. My employees are all looking in at me, and I'm yelling at them, what are you staring at? Why the F you looking at me? Get me out from under here. I remember every blessed word. Here I wasn't talking at all. Not a word came out of my mouth. I couldn't even speak. So fire department, police, the whole cadet, all of it came out. Took them 22 minutes to get me out from under there. And then right from the parking lot, they helicoptered me down to the University of Pennsylvania. And one of the things I remember the most is they cut my favorite pair of jeans off. And I could think clearly. Everything, my thoughts were clear. I just apparently couldn't talk. And I heard my father, after about a half an hour of them doing all things, yelling from the hallway, don't give her narcotics, don't give her narcotics. And how proud I was that my dad knows I don't want to get high. Like, it was just so amazing. And it made me feel like I started earning my family's trust again, even though I couldn't talk to them about it right then and there, but it was a good thing.
Sure, that was a good feeling.
Yes. So I was real lucky. I didn't have any major bleeds or strokes or anything. I just had a really damaged brain. Severe shearing, they call it. Because not only did the beam bounce into the right side of my head, but then when my head snapped back, your brain bounces around in there too. A coup contra coup injury, they call them. So, yeah, that's pretty much how that went.
So that was 12-12-12?
12-12-12.
Now, tell us, man, it was also amazing how your dad was there for you, and your dad knew your battle with addiction, and he must have been very proud of the progress you had made by 2012 from 2009. So that's pretty amazing. But tell us how long, what was the recovery process? How long in the beginning were you in the hospital? Did you have to go back to get surgery?
I came home from the hospital in a week, actually. And I started outpatient rehab, very aggressive speech therapy, occupational therapy, vestibular therapy, vision therapy. I mean, I was just seeing people every day, several different therapies a day. And I started doing okay. Within about 18 months, I was moving okay.
You couldn't walk at first when you...
Right. But I started being able to walk, but I had significant right side weakness. So that started, and the speaking was a problem. I couldn't get out. Things weren't coming out the way I wanted them to come out.
Now, how about, like, did you have any memory loss? You knew who you were? You knew where you were?
Yes, I did. And the memory loss, I'll get to that when I get to the next chapter. So the more I was learning to walk, talk, and handle everyday life again, I started having seizures. 1 to 2 a week it started off as, and they were just complex partial seizures, which is when you kind of just zone out for a while. Like, I didn't have very many memories of them. So I went on some medication. They assumed it was just trauma-induced epilepsy. And within a year, I was having 10 to 20 seizures a day. And I was on so much medication that my kidneys started failing.
And this was a year later?
Yes.
2013 around, say?
Yes. No epilepsy medicine was working, no alternative whatever. It was tough. Because all I wanted to do was get better again. And now, the more I'm getting better, the more seizures I'm having. So in 2015, I went into the hospital in March for brain mapping. I have a cool picture of it, too, if you ever want to look at it. They let me touch my own brain. It was so cool. It was awesome.
We have a picture of your brain, I think, after surgery, or we're going to bring it up. You tell us exactly what it is. The one picture of you. We have X-rays, I think, too, but we have a picture of you actually with the scar and everything. It's amazing. You showed me some pictures before. Here's the one up on the screen.
Yes, that's my 391 staples and stitches.
So we have a picture up for anybody who's listening later on Apple iTunes and everything. So you have staples in the side of your head. How many staples?
391.
Now that was after surgery?
Yes.
That was 2015. How long was the process for this surgery?
I was in the hospital for about 3 months getting brain mapping done, in which they saw the problem wasn't epilepsy, it was scar tissue building up in my right temporal lobe where I was hit.
We have a picture, I think, of we have an X-ray, too, we'll bring up. Thank you to Toxic Mike and Jamie, man. I've got them working today, but you showed me the picture where you can actually see. Here's the one picture, right?
That's all my hardware that I'm left with still today. I have 4 plates and 8 screws.
And then
Don't they look like Christmas cookies?
Yeah, I want to eat them. And there's
that's my missing right temporal lobe.
So that part right there, that's
the one that looks like a unicorn
missing.
there on the bottom left.
I love
is
unicorns.
Actually my right side of my brain, and my hippocampus. One of my hippocampus. You have 2 of them. They're your long-term memory storage. So one of them was also a little too damaged to save, and it's about 60% of my right temporal lobe they took out.
So tell us about this surgery, man. How was it? And also, going through the surgery, were you allowed to have pain medication? How did that work?
It was very difficult to be juggling, not even just the physical parts. The physical part, I'm a tough girl,
Yeah.
quote on. If anything,
You're a boxer. We're gonna get into that, right?
Yeah.
You're a survivor. You're
I have a
tough,
high
you're
threshold
warrior.
for pain, and sometimes to my own, sometimes it's bad, my threshold for pain, but it was really the depression about everything that was happening. Here I am, I just got clean from active addiction, and this is what is happening to me. Am I ever going to talk again? I was planning my wedding when this happened. It was tough. It was another tough blow to take. And like you said, I used to be a fighter. I'm used to working out. I was always tough. I was always strong. I've gone into fights. I was telling Yanni and Tim earlier, I actually won a fight I was in with 2 broken ribs. My coach is like, you can't go back in. I'm like, oh, F you, I'm going back in. And I won that fight. Like, I'm just that girl. But your brain isn't a muscle or a bone. It doesn't do what you want it to do. It won't heal. It was very frustrating on a not just physical level, but mental level. It really destroyed me. So this surgery, which I was also told to prepare that I wasn't going to be the same person again, that my personality would drastically change. And I already didn't recognize myself in the mirror. Everyone's talking about this Kirby chick. I'm like, well, I'd love to know who she is too. Can you let me know? So it was tough. It was really tough.
So how long was the surgery? Was it a couple hours or
16 hours.
And you were already in the hospital for 3 months up to this point, or was that after?
Yeah, 3 months off and on. I was in for 3 weeks, out a week, back in. And a funny thing about the surgery, this is another funny story about my dad.
I love funny stories.
So my dad, my caretaker at the time, were in the waiting room. I believe it was a 16-hour surgery. And a doctor comes out and he's like, Kirby, because Kirby's my last name. My dad stands up. He's like, is my daughter okay? And the gentleman says, yeah. He said he just wanted to introduce himself. He used to be the fight doc at the Blue Horizon, and he recognized me. He remembered who I was. I'm like, so my father just, I think, stood up taller and prouder than he ever did before. Now, I have 4 brothers, and here he's getting a compliment from a fight doc for his daughter.
That's awesome. We were talking, I know you mentioned it too. You were tuning into our show a couple weeks ago. We had Joey the Tank.
Yes.
And he talked about how his grandfather, whatever, took him to the Blue Horizon. And we were just saying, like, you know, for people don't know, that has such big history for boxing in Philadelphia. It's an amazing place. So I'm sure that was pretty cool, right?
Yes. Yeah. It was definitely, it kind of like my dad's like, well, my daughter really was a boxer.
So you got that. How was the recovery process? Tell us more.
I guess I was in a different mind frame at this point as well too. I knew going into the surgery that it was going to set me back, but I gotten through the first time, and I just tell you, physically I had the best doctors. I mean, if you're going to have a head injury, Philadelphia is the place to do it. Between Penn, Bryn Mawr, Jefferson, I mean, we got some great doctors and care teams around here, man. We really do. Remed is a TBI institute out in Collegeville that really helped me out a lot. And so that part was really going good. I didn't doubt my physical abilities. I was depressed and confused and not able to really communicate about it. And that's when I found Mind Your Brain. When I got involved with Mind Your Brain.
When did you find Mind Your Brain?
In 2014, actually, before I even had my surgery, I was asked by one of my doctors to be a guest speaker on their survivors panel. It was only the second year that Mind Your Brain was operating. The Mind Your Brain Foundation works with Penn Medicine to bring awareness, education, and advocacy to brain-injured people. Because it's a silent epidemic. Now, I've had concussions off and on all my life, and I just blew them off and did whatever. But I know that it was the accumulation of all those concussions that led me to having, you know, a lot more damage to work with. I didn't get scar tissue just from one steel beam. I had scar tissue from a lifetime of, I'm a southpaw, so I took a lot of...
A lot of hits to the head. And, yeah, Mind Your Brain... We got them up right now on the screen. For anybody tuning in on the video live right now, that's mindyourbrain.org, right? Or
mindyourbrainfoundation.org.
Oh, mindyourbrainfoundation.org. And I was actually, I'm a brain survivor, brain injury survivor, and you invited me to the conference just last month. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, March is Brain Injury Awareness Month, so every month Mind Your Brain puts on a free all-day conference. This year we had to do it
virtual.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sucks. You know, everything's changed up because of this. I'm sure it's cool. You've gone to it, I guess, the year before it was in person?
Yes, I've gone every year. Even the year after my surgery was in September of 2015. I made it in March of 2016 because it's that important to me to go. The community of brain injured people is just so awesome. It's just amazing.
So how was it? You said Mind Your Brain Foundation was instrumental in your recovery. Tell us more in that aspect. How was the recovery? How, you know, now you're a different person. You had this traumatic injury. Tell us more about that, Janine.
Firstly, it introduced me to other survivors, which you can't put a price on looking somebody in the eyes and they know, you know that they know what you're feeling without trying to explain it to somebody because you can't talk. You can't find the words. And the doctors and research assistants and therapists that are involved with it, they just really helped me understand what was going on with my brain. They taught me. They didn't treat me like I was challenged. They taught me this is what's happening in your brain. And it just makes it so much less frightening when you understand. And it just empowers you. Mind Your Brain empowered me to not only help myself get better, but to give back and help others too. And giving back is just the greatest way to spread hope and love for not just the person you're giving to, but yourself as well. It's actually, I feel pretty selfish sometimes. I'm like, I want to be involved because it helps me more than it helps the other person. I don't know, but in general.
Yeah, that's amazing. We always talk about that. Not to cut you off, I'm good at that too. We do a lot of our stuff through our nonprofit, and I try to explain to people, like they think there's like, why do you do this? And there's nothing, right? There's nothing helping people. There's nothing to describe that. I've done a lot of crazy shit in my life, some bad, some good, but I've never had that feeling I feel when look at somebody in the eye you helped, and they can't offer you nothing, and just knowing you might have changed their life. It's a powerful feeling.
It's purpose. It's given me purpose. I often share with people, I had to lose everything. I lost my ability to read, to write, to drive. I lost a lot of friends or associates. I lost my job. I lost my whole identity. But I've never been happier in my life than I am today. Honestly. And it's through giving back and being in service and just appreciating life.
Yeah, so that's amazing. You overcome a lot in your life, man. You've had a lot of, we highlight the great times, but on Hungry for Hope, we also have to, highlight our moments we're not proud of. So I got a question for you, Kirby. What's one of your biggest failures in your life, and most importantly, what did you learn from it?
I think letting my family down in my addiction. My family, I grew up in a great household. I was the only girl, 4 boys, mind you, but I had the best left hook. So, and yeah, I did some dirty stuff. Dirty living, lying, stealing, from nothing, stuff I call them shake your head moments where I'm like, damn. And I know I let my brothers down, and my oldest brother, he always said to me, he's like, you have the best of all of us. You have book smarts and street smarts. You're going to be the one who goes the furthest. And I did. I had a full scholarship to college, and man, college ended up being a very expensive keg party. But so, yeah, I think letting my family down and just not going to my full potential. But I see now, looking back, that my full potential was going to come in my 30s and 40s, not in my teens and 20s.
That's amazing. But like you said, you learn from these. That's what I try to tell. We had somebody, they said amazing. I think, was it Dwayne Fletcher we had on? They said he doesn't like to call his mistakes. He calls them learning experiences, because I think that was Fletcher from Guns Down, Gloves Up. We have so many amazing guests, but I thought that was a great point. Yeah, you can make a mistake or whatever you want to call it, but if you use that as a learning lesson to better your life, sometimes for whatever reason it's bigger than us. We have to go through them trials and tribulations.
For sure.
And then who are some of the people that have been most
hold up, big time. You can't just hop on the microphone and start asking questions. Say, big time Tim Kudge's back here. Try that. Yeah. We got big time Tim Kudge's back live. Tim, you got a question for our guest?
Sure, absolutely.
Awesome, man.
Who are some of the people that have been most influential to you? Like anywhere from 1 to 3 people.
My father is the most amazing man I've ever met in my life. I mean, God help the man who thinks he's going to fill his shoes. My dad and my mom raised the 5 of us in a little row home in Olney. My dad worked for the same company for 53 years, put all of us through Catholic school, went to college at night so he could do all those things. And my brothers are amazing men too. You can tell what a good father my dad was by looking at how wonderful my brothers are as a father. Like, it's just so amazing to me. I had an aunt who was my aunt and uncle who, I love them. I snuck around when I was boxing. I started boxing at 14. You're not exactly a happy, well-adjusted child at 14 when you want to go beat the crap out of girls. But my aunt and uncle were very good to me. They helped me during that tumultuous teen years where I don't like anyone except for my aunt and uncle. And They've been awesome. And then just since I've been in recovery from my addiction, I have amazing road dogs and just people who have been here with me from day one of me being clean. Yeah. Like, I'm going to have 12 years sober and clean in June. And there's some people that have been with me from day one.
You brought one of your road dogs, Bobby Joe, came in the studio. That was pretty cool. Big shout out to her. She came here. It's awesome to have a good support group, man. She commented, that's my best friend right there. It's great having good people by your side.
Yeah, Bobby Joe helped put out a fire I set when I was trying to cook with my brain injury. Apparently, I knocked on her door and very calmly said, my kitchen's on fire? Or I'll have to ask her for clarity. But
that's right. That happens every time I try to cook.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I start a lot of fires. We might need Bobby Joe, like part of our... Yeah, man. But that's awesome to know that your father is such a influential person. A lot of people don't realize. They think like people who battle with drug addiction are thinking like somebody who must come from this broken home or this horrible place and they had horrible parents. That's the one thing I noticed with all the guests we had on. Not all of them are from this tragedy, man. Just because you fight some addiction or you have some issues doesn't mean you weren't brought up the right way. That's just how life happens sometimes.
Yes.
But you mentioned the Mind Your Brain Foundation, everything. We put up the website and everything. But say people are listening, maybe they're brain injury survivors, addiction, anybody, if they want to get a hold of you or Mind Your Brain Foundation, how would they go about that?
Well, you can go on our website, mindyourbrainfoundation.org. Our Facebook, we have Facebook, Instagram. We also we've been doing podcasts during this pandemic as well, where we've interviewed some amazing people and athletes. And we've also just post a lot of stuff and a lot of links on our website. That's the best way to get.
So you got to mindyourbrainfoundation.org.
Mm-hmm.
And that's great. We put it up there. It's up there right now.
Thank you so much. That's
Yanni's
awesome.
actually looking at it right now.
Yeah,
we got Yanni the
it up
Greek.
right here.
He got it on his. We got his laptop in here.
Badass.
That's what Yanni's always doing. He's on the laptop. He's doing all
Always
that
working
good
it.
stuff. Always working. And Yanni, you think you got something you want to say?
Yeah, I do
Speak
want to
up.
know. I finally learned, the meaning of this question. It only took 2 months.
I thought you were going to say the meaning of life. I was like,
No, definitely not. I'm nowhere close to that. It feels like I get further away every time I try. But so we've asked you a lot of questions today, Janine. What would you ask yourself if you were conducting this interview? Something maybe off the wall that we wouldn't ask.
What my tattoos are.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, get into it.
Janine Kirby. Donnie here. I'm the host.
Yes,
tell
Donnie.
us about
Yes.
your tattoos. What about? I'd love to know about your tattoos.
I would love to share that with you. When I first started learning how to talk again, I had 2 speech disorders. One, aphasia. I'm not sure if you've all heard of aphasia. It's when you can't find words. The second one was called dysprosody, which is, they call it foreign accent syndrome. You can't emote when you're talking. Like, not only did I have to learn to talk again, but then I had to learn like acting classes, how to like say, how are you today instead of how are you today? But they say that your brain reverts back to the earliest time of you learning how to talk. After my brain surgery, I had to go through this process all over again in 2015. My caretaker at the time, he would have Mozart on for me, or he would put Mary Poppins on loop. It's my favorite Disney movie, Mary Poppins. Okay. My first words were spit spot. And I talked with a British accent. Because apparently my brain reverted back to watching Mary Poppins on loop for a couple months.
You should have kept it, sound real fancy and everything.
I do sound fancy, Yanni.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah,
Ain't
what
fancy? What the
not fancy enough for you, Yanni?
We can't
not
throw,
fancy enough for the fancy club?
We don't need, you coming across the table, all the Mike's
She still got that left hook, cuz.
I'm not.
You think you're better than us because you never had a
I'm
drug
trying to
addict?
act like a lady here,
We don't need that. Mike doesn't need to clean up that mess.
You think you're better than us, Yanni?
He doesn't need to wipe my blood off the wall. That'll be nice.
I have some good bleach cleaner
There
that
you
destroys all evidence.
So there's something about your tattoos.
Yes, I was very proud to tell this story. I like telling people this story.
Mary Poppins.
Yeah, that spit spot. Because, not many people get Mary Poppins tattooed on them. I'm like,
Now,
all right.
you brought up the speech thing. I've brought up to you, I'm a brain injury survivor, but also, it's like my whole life I've been fighting some kind of obstacle. Just how it is. That's just how life is. When I was a kid, I was born with a speech impediment.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't get it from a brain injury, but I couldn't really speak. So I had to go to special needs classes. I had to take that little bus to school and all that stuff. And that was one of the things that, people couldn't understand when I said. I would say the right answer in class, and they couldn't understand me, so they thought I was stupid.
That's tough when you're a kid.
So eventually I had to shut up. I stopped saying stuff so they wouldn't think I was giving the wrong answer. And people would pick on me. You know how kids can be.
Yes.
And that's how I bring up this story sometimes. I told you I did pro wrestling. I know you thought that was pretty cool. And I would go home and I watch these pro wrestlers on TV, and I'd be like, if I was Hulk Hogan, nobody's ever going to make fun of my speech. And that was like my first thing. So I can definitely relate to learning how to speak. I was in speech classes every day for years and years.
Well, speech problems are a brain injury. They are. It's just a different part.
Yeah, definitely had a lot of, 20 some years later, I got into pro wrestling because, as a 5-year-old, I'd sit there watching that wrestling and I'd see like Legion of Doom and Ultimate Warrior, and I said, I'm going to be big and strong. And, I started getting the weights because of it, and all because of my speech impediment. So
it's amazing how many things from childhood influence us as we get older.
Yeah, it's crazy. And then, like I said, I was brain injury too later at 18, I guess. So I can relate to a lot of the stuff you went through. It's been amazing finding out about Mind Your Brain Foundation, even going to your conference. It's been a great journey. Anybody else out there, like other survivors, what would you tell them, man? Anybody listening, anybody who's going through stuff you went through, what would you have to say to them?
First of all, that you're not alone. I mean, I thought I was unique in my situation, my story. I'm one of a kind. Nobody can really understand until I met, like I always say, I thought I was a black sheep in the brain injury world until I met a whole herd of them at the Mind Your Brain conference. And it's just so amazing. It brings acceptance. Like, all right, I'm never going to do the things I used to be able to do. I'm never going to be that Kirby person again, but I sure do like the redhead I see in the mirror today. It helps, and that's what it is. It's really about acceptance. I'm a disabled woman. Half my brain's in a jar somewhere at Jefferson University, I'm still smarter than most with half a brain.
You brought up a great point. Actually, somebody who's tuning in right now, Joe, I just met the other day, and we were doing a job for him. It was working. I'm always hungry for host my life now, so I bring it up everywhere I go. I can't help myself. And me and him, he went through some stuff too, and we were saying how, like, through this, I used to think I was like, when I got in my trouble, I just thought I was a fuck up, that black sheep you mentioned. I thought like nobody else in the world was going through what I was going through. I must have just been, God born me wrong. I was bad. There was nobody else close to my story, I thought. And then through Hunger for Hope, through opening up, you find out a lot of people are fighting struggles you might not know about. Everybody got some kind of battle. I'm sure you learned that through your battle with addiction and your battle with your brain injury.
Yeah, having an injury is hard enough, but an invisible injury just makes it that much tougher. I mean, somebody sees you have a broken arm, they say, oh, I'm so sorry. They come, they sign your cast, they buy you things. A broken brain, people actually doubt that you're even broken, like that, having to deal with that part of it all too.
You seem normal, and then you're like, yeah, you don't know what's happening in here though.
Yeah, like, oh, I forget things too.
Yeah.
Like, shut up.
No, that's not quite the same.
Yeah.
I did want to kind of expand a little bit, as much as you want to tell us anyway, on the whole relearning aspect. I guess I guess I'll speak for myself. I don't really remember when it is I learned to read, and I, English was like the second language I learned. I was only 4, but like I don't remember like the time that I like learned to read. I don't remember how I learned to read, and like to redo it as an adult, I don't know. It's like it seems like hard.
It was more actually, Yanni, about physically my eyes being able to read. Once, like, because your right temporal lobe is your visual processing center, your short-term memory, and your audio processing center. See, once I learned all these things, it was easier. So once I told myself that I wasn't learning to read the words again, I was learning to make my eyes track the words. Like, even right now, looking down at this piece of paper, everything's moving. So I had to go to very intense visual therapy 6 days a week to retrain my eyes. I have a condition that's called nystagmus. It's really funny. I like to make jokes about it. When when visual stimulation is coming into my brain, because my temporal lobe, which processes all of that, is damaged. You know when you type on a keyboard too fast, it locks up your computer? The same shit happens to my brain. It locks up my eyes so that my right eye starts bouncing up and down and my left one starts bouncing side to side. I look like Cookie Monster, man. I'm dead serious. I'll be out somewhere and I don't notice it right away, but other people do. They look at me like, are you high? And my brain, with my eyes bouncing around, my brain doesn't know it's just my eyes. It thinks it's my whole body and makes me violently ill. I get sick. I throw up on people. So reading was something that was the last I had to learn because I needed to learn how to look at something. Like even sitting here with you 5 years ago, I couldn't because you were all moving at the same time.
Well, we're very fidgety around here, so.
Yeah, I've noticed.
You probably wish it was 5 years ago. You couldn't sit with us, I bet, right?
No, it's just.
Or I could vomit on you on the way out. Leave you a token of appreciation.
It's just kind of fascinating, that whole process of like. So it's not like, hey, this is an A, this is a B. Like it's more just putting together like these are words.
Yes.
And as opposed to just like a bunch of scribbles on a
right.
paper.
And I was always, before this happened to me, I would ask the same questions too, Yanni. I was always like, I'm very curious. I got a microscope for Christmas when I was 12 years old. Yeah. I always wanted to know molecularly how things work. Yeah. I'm a dork and proud of it.
Same here.
So yeah, it's amazing. I can't believe how far I've come.
Yeah. It's just, it's really interesting to hear that that's the process. I mean, again, people that go through this have to learn it and have to relearn it. I'm always like, man, relearning something, I just couldn't wrap my head around it, but you explained it pretty well there.
Thanks. Yeah, it's difficult.
It sounds it.
The bottom half of my body doesn't talk to the top half very well. Like I haven't run in 8 years. Because I can't move my legs and arms.
Me either. Not because I can't, just because I just broke a sweat you talking about running. But you brought up a great point how people can't see. Like it's an invisible thing. I remember when I got in my car accident, it was 2005. I shared it recently with people. I don't talk about that much, and it's just something. It was something that caused me a lot of pain. But I remember getting in that accident. I broke close to 20 bones, man. I fell down into a creek. I hit a bridge out in the country in southern New Jersey, out on a farm, and shattered my legs and broke everything. But when I was in that recovery, I remember like they tell you about. I'm thinking the leg. How am I going to learn to walk again? I couldn't walk. My bone was all shattered, and I broke my jaw. Like everything in my face. They teach you that, but they never really taught me how to live with. My head got smashed. I broke every bone in my head just about. Eye sockets, jaw in 2 places, all the cheekbones. You name it. Mm-hmm. I wasn't even recognizable, but they had some people maybe, but I never thought in my head as a 18-year-old that the biggest problem was going to be the injuries I couldn't see. And
it's just that time, too, because what was that, 40, 50 years ago? I'm kidding. But, concussion, brain injury, even just the studies about it are all just starting to come to light. I mean, they really only know about 10% of our brain. And like you said, in professional sports, we were talking about it earlier, how more frequently head injuries are apparent now. The quality of life is what it comes down to. And I've had concussions all my life, but they never, put a dent into my day-to-day life.
Yeah, but it, like having the brain. Now I think back, I went year after my accident. I'm playing college football, Division II college football.
Yeah.
I got many concussions there. Nobody ever told me hey, Donnie, your brain's compromised now. You probably don't want to go out there like a maniac, and
Yeah, I'm a big
yourself.
advocate for. I've been to Harrisburg a couple times to talk about concussion protocol in sports for kids, for youth. I don't know if you saw Jordan Reed, from the tight end from the San Francisco 49ers, announced his retirement today. 2 years ago, I was reaching out to him, telling him, look, I don't know you, and I know you're a pro athlete, but you look like crap to me. You look like you're starting to show some brain damage. And he retired today, and he's now joining the flag football at 14, is what they're calling it, meaning it's a lot of ex-NFL players starting this flag football league for kids so that you don't play tackle football until you're over 14, because that's when your skull is fully formed. And they say when we're younger, that's when, the accumulation of damage starts.
Yeah, Jordan Reed left it all out on the field all the time, and sometimes a little too much, and he really did take some really big shots. And
he did in college too, Yanni.
Yeah,
I don't know if
he came in from Florida pretty banged up, and that's just kind of how it goes with some of these players, and they don't want to let it go. They can't not play because they're not sure what.
They're pro athletes for a
Exactly,
reason, because
yeah.
they're competition.
And not only that, they love it too. This is what I've wanted to do all my life. So I could see how it's hard to remove yourself from that and go, well, it's the same thing you're talking about. Look, my arm is fine and my legs are fine. I'm still running a 4.4. I can still play, but
it's adrenaline pumping too at that point.
Yeah.
It's a shame because a lot of players. I do a lot of work with the Concussion Legacy Foundation, which Chris Nowinski from the WWE.
He's awesome. He's done a lot of work, man.
Yes, they just accepted my brain. I'm donor number 3019.
That's awesome.
Yes.
Congratulations on that.
No, I'm just glad I can give back. And I keep up with the research on CTE and, last year, the most diagnosed brains with CTE were baseball players. Not even NFL players. It was baseball players.
How's that work?
The outfielders flying into the walls or diving for catches and their heads bouncing off the. It was mainly outfielders. And just getting. I think now that that movie came out and people are talking about brain injuries, more tragic things are happening with younger players.
Yeah.
Acting out of character.
Well, it goes untreated, man. That. When I got my injury, I didn't know it was something I had to treat. I didn't think about it. I went on to do pro wrestling. I can't tell you how many concussions I had. And being the big, strong man, I'd get knocked out cold, man. I remember I'd be out of it. As soon as I came back to it, somebody would dump a jug of water on my head, smack me, and I'd be crawling back into that ring. And
again, you're an athlete.
And just what we did, not knowing years later, I found myself lost. I didn't know who I was anymore. And then actually finally getting professional help, I realized, this out of character behavior that I was going through, it was a result of some of these injuries and stuff. I feel now with the movie that came out and the Aaron Hernandez case and all that stuff. You saw the Aaron Hernandez. We had his teammate on the show, Alex Silvestro.
Junior Seau.
Junior Seau.
There was actually a Penn football player, University of Pennsylvania football player, Owen Taylor. He committed suicide at 21 years old, and he had stage 3 CTE at 21 years old. I mean, it's happening to younger kids. Last year, the football players that were diagnosed were mainly college and high school football players.
It's unbelievable, man.
It is.
And that's why we bring people like you on to bring more awareness to it. It's something that definitely doesn't get enough awareness. It is getting more, but
It is, and it's good to see that parents are being more aware. You know, I'm not saying that it's all doom and gloom. Everyone's going to end up with permanent brain damage, but there's a way to protect yourself from permanent brain damage. Don't play tackle football till you're older. Wear helmets. You know, be aware of the signs of concussion. Even if it's a mild concussion, it's still a bruise to your brain.
Now, Kirby, you are also a survivor of addiction too. You openly talked about it. So how was it fighting? You're fighting two things that are killers, literally. Brain injury and addiction. Did you find one made it harder to fight the other? How was it being a fighter for both of them?
Well, when this accident first happened to me, like I said, you know, I spiraled into depression. My whole life was thrown upside down, and nobody would have blamed me if I went out and got high. You know, nobody would have blamed me if I relapsed. That was a free ticket to go. But I also knew that it would make me worse physically, and that I made it 3 years so far without drugs and alcohol. If I can get through this, I can do anything. And I didn't want to, if I was going to die, I didn't want to die with drugs and alcohol. I was preparing myself really to die. Stuck in my head there for days on end. It gets to be a pretty bad place. But I refuse to get high. And I have a great support network. I'm in a fellowship. I never stop working at one thing or the other every day.
That's amazing. Your story definitely, I feel like, gives people hope. Hungry for hope. That's what we're about. This show came from our darkest times when we had lost hope. Mm-hmm. So I ask you, Janine, what does hope mean to you?
You know, I was raised Catholic. I went to Catholic school. You know, I have really nice penmanship. I tie my shoelaces really well. But I was never a person of faith. I was, you know, on instinct and brawn all my life. Hope to me is faith. It's belief that something is going to come out of something. It's the greatest high I've ever been on. No drug can touch hope. None at all. It's something that we all can share with each other, which makes it an even bigger high. I didn't mean to get all profound and
I was just going to say, like, whoa.
I didn't mean to get all poetry and stuff.
What do you think about that, Tim? I know you were just there kind of with your jaw dropped listening to that. What do you think of Janine's story after hearing it all?
I mean, a lot of similarities. Mainly me and you combined in one story, right?
I was thinking that when we first started reaching out to each other and talking.
Yeah, that's a great point. And then I feel like the brain injury, people who suffer that, it can lead to so much. It definitely led to more addiction problems for me. The hardest part was not knowing. Like, if you're doing drugs, you know, fucking smoking crack or snoring cocaine or whatever it is you're doing, you know you have a problem. You know you're watching yourself do it, but
well, you can't smoke crack socially.
You can do whatever you want. You're a grown-ass man. Do grown-ass man thing.
Let's go play some pool and smoke a little rock.
You got to be ready if you're going to go to Tim's house. Like.
We have a two rock minimum.
But when you're fighting something that you don't know is there, like I shared a lot with people. And other things can trigger when I lost my brother. That's when, like, all this, it was just like all these things in my life all just
perfect storm.
met. Yes, that's exactly how the doctors and all these doctors that they described it. It made sense. It was a perfect storm all met. And I remember calling people up. I tell this story a lot of calling people up, and I was just like desperate. I didn't know what was wrong. I knew something was wrong, and I knew it was going to end real bad, real bad. And I was just begging, let's let's not, I don't want this to end bad, and nobody knew what to do. They're not doctors. They didn't know what was going on in my head. They would send me to doctors. I had never gone to office. I shared that a lot. But nobody knew how to help me, even when I was begging for help. So that's why it's awesome. You have Mind Your Brain Foundation. People like you, people can reach out to. There's a lot of other resources, I guess. Anybody, other resources people can.
Well, actually, you touched on something that you're in a fellowship, and I'm looking on the site here. So, what exactly you have these fellowships with Moss Rehabilitation Center and Westchester University? What are those like?
Those are.
How do those work?
Those are outpatient and inpatient rehabs.
Okay.
And Mind Your Brain, we have a podcast as well.
Right.
And we bring in to the conference as well as to our podcast specialists from these locations to talk about alternative therapies, to discuss coping techniques, stuff like that.
And then are they working with, like, I guess, people in the foundation that?
Yes, it's a personal relationships with the
cool.
people in the foundation.
That's nice. You mentioned that you do one, and so I wanted to kind of expand on that a little bit too.
Well, the fellowship I was
do a lot of cool
referencing
stuff.
to is recovery-wise with my addiction.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was going to tell him that. I don't want to jump in.
Sorry. I mean,
I thought I played that off really well.
I had the question.
I was
in my
waiting for you
head
to tell him
and
like
then,
you're wrong, Yanni.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
you just dunk on me. That's
I was
the
just
point of the
enjoying listening to them sound stupid.
I thought I cleaned that up really nice though to make us both
Yeah.
sound.
You did. That was an excellent
If
job.
I do say so myself.
There's Yanni's.
No,
It's
it's
all right.
totally cool.
Tim's gonna feel good about himself now for the rest of the week.
There's Yanni's.
should've
That's all
started-
that really
You
matters.
should have just started yelling at him as soon as he asked
No,
the
I'm
question.
gonna come and defend you, Yanni. These guys are picking on you.
don't
Do
know.
they always
I
pick
mean,
on you?
Yeah, they're just they're afraid of me. That's what it is. Yeah, that's what it is.
We're afraid of his smarts and his good looks. But yeah, that's funny. That's where Yanni's inexperience of being a drug addict came into play. Yanni, we're gonna have to.
Oh,
take
you're
you
a
to-
rookie.
We're gonna take you at the drug addict school, man.
He walks around with his nose up in the air because he hasn't done any drugs.
I guess
You
I'll
think
go
you're
to
better?
Tim's house and we'll see how it goes.
The only time I had my nose up in the air is for the postnasal drip.
Oh man.
My house is BYOR.
Your own rock.
Tim, that's great stuff. That's great stuff.
So Tim's having a party this weekend.
There are all the resources. You're in the fellowship. You said would that be AA, NA, or
I'm in NA, yes.
NA? Any other resources that have helped you? I know you said you had your a lot of people in your life who've been by you. You had this foundation. You have NA. Any
And
other?
I love talking with people in AA as well. I mean, I'm not biased. I shared a book with you and Tim by Jeff Gould. Jeff is a recovering alcoholic who lived his whole life with a concussion syndrome and never really knew it until getting treated by doctors. And it talks about his alcoholism, his brain, and how they two contribute to each other, like you were saying, Donnie. You know how, yeah, one is a direct link to another, to the other.
They
Just
kind of feed each other.
they really do. Whether it's physically or emotionally, they do feed.
So people can get this book's called A Life Concussed by Jeff Gould.
Yes.
You brought it for me and Tim. I'm definitely going to check it out, man. It's just, I really want to get across this brain injury. Like we brought up people, these pro athletes, and there's been so many of them who I can feel what they felt. They knew something was wrong and they couldn't fix it, and they felt their only way out was to commit suicide. And what a trend is with these pro athletes are killing themselves by shooting themselves in the heart.
Here's a list of every positive CTE case in the last 10 years.
You got a whole notebook.
And here's actually wrestlers.
She got a notebook out. We're looking at them for everybody tuning in.
Didn't they say
Balls
Aaron
Mahoney,
Hernandez
good friend
had
of
it,
mine who
like-
passed away, Axel Rotten,
So
wrestled half these guys
Yeah,
on the
they're
list.
really bad.
Yeah, I thought you'd find that interesting because there's
Dead,
the stage.
dead.
Yes, what year they were killed, how they died.
Yeah, that's crazy. But you see this trend of people who they feel how. I know how it feels to be that way when you feel like your only way out is to kill yourself and kill yourself. So your brain, they're not shooting themselves in their head. They're not doing anything that will mess up their brain. They're literally shooting themselves in the heart or doing something to kill themselves so their brain and then they're writing a will saying, take my brain to be studied or whatever.
Yes.
And the study always comes back with like the worst case, you know.
Well, something good that's happening is they're beginning to do be able to diagnose while you're alive. First person was Fred Willis, a football player. He just died 2 years ago, and he was the first person that they diagnosed while he was alive and confirmed after he died. The next person, there's 2 others that they're waiting to pass away. Not that I'm saying please die, but who's the running back for the Dallas? The older guy. Oh, I can't believe I forget.
Tony Dorsett.
Yes, Bobby Joe would know. I was going to say she's a Dallas fan. Can you believe it?
Oh, Bobby Joe, get out of the studio. We heard you're Dallas fan.
The studio.
Get her out of here.
Back to the car.
She gotta go. The road dog gotta go.
So Tony Dorsett and O.J. Simpson.
O.J. Simpson. We're not trying to go down that. Come on, we keep this show pretty clean, man. We're not.
Aaron Hernandez had it too, right?
Aaron Hernandez was 27 years old, and he had the worst case ever diagnosed. And who was the mass shooting last week? Andrews Price was his name, or Adams? Philip Adams. He was a Tampa Bay Buccaneer.
Oh, right.
Apparently.
Oh yeah, that was crazy. He killed the doctor. He killed his doctor.
He killed his doctor when his doctor cut him off of medication. And right away his family donated his brain, and I'm sure. But the interesting thing is, there has never been one boxer positively diagnosed with CTE. Not one.
No, why do you think that?
Because their head's not hitting up against anything. It's only like my doctors from the get-go said, again, that it's not for the muscles in my neck. That it would have been a lot worse. My head would have been flopping around more. Boxers have,
the good posture.
Yes, good posture, good neck muscles. The only time a boxer really gets knocked out in the ring is, yes, a damn good punch, but also when they hit the canvas. That's when the most brain damage happens, is when they pass out cold and go face first.
Well, that's what they were saying. There were studies and stuff with bare knuckle boxing when that came out, saying it's probably safer than actual boxing.
I agree, it is, because when you break something, at least you have to stop.
Yeah, you're gonna get cut up more, but you don't take the cushion blow after blow after blow.
Exactly, and that's what it is. That's why linemen are generally the most diagnosed with CTE, because they're going head to head all the time in the trenches.
Yep.
I'm a lineman.
60, 70 times a game of just...
God, you just picked every possible thing to give yourself concussions.
I really did. I look back and it's like...
They actually just came out with position-specific helmets in NCAA college football. Now has position-specific helmets for linemen.
They are, the helmets were good. I remember, the helmets, like even in my college, they're getting better. I remember them cracking. I've seen helmets like crack off people's head. I'm like, what the hell? This can't be safe. But I kept on going. I don't care. I'm young. You don't think?
Notre Dame invested in all new helmets for their players. Mitsubishi makes them. They're made like cars. They measure each impact. They send information to the line. And eventually, it will send an alarm, or the helmet will break apart to tell the team that this player can't play anymore.
Oh.
The NFL refuses to do it for their players.
Yeah, of course.
Because they're too expensive.
Yeah, it's always a money thing.
Notre Dame does it for their players, but the NFL will not do it for their players.
Well, I think they
watch
their players go up against Bama, and they're like, we got to protect these guys. And it's not.
Also, we're bringing up great stuff. I want to bring up some Hungry for Hope stuff. You see these awesome shirts me and Yanni got on. We're going to bring them up on the screen, the green shirts. We have the shirts. We just as you can see, we will have them available. Check out our website and our Facebook in the coming days. We'll tell you how you can order them, how you can get them. You'll be looking good just like Yanni. And we also have some other great news for Hungry for Hope. We got our Hungry for Hope headquarters officially today.
Woohoo!
Thank you, Janine. I think I got a picture of Tim finally opening the door. We got the keys right before the show. This thing's always been bigger than just a podcast. It's like a movement, and we now have a headquarters, a Hungry for Hope headquarters, where we're going to be able to help tons of people, man. We'll be announcing that, and ways you can help us and support us. The whole headquarters is going to be a place. What are you saying, Tim?
Yeah, it's not just like give them money, donate, and stuff like that. We're looking for old suits, dress clothes, stuff that we're going to be doing a lot of preparing people for that second chance in life. Some of the big goals are, resume building, interview coaching. Like me and Yanni, we interview people daily, on a daily basis.
Pretty much.
There's probably a lot more better people, but who better in this room, sitting at this desk right here, to coach people on interviews, do their resumes and stuff like that. The full focus is on everybody getting an opportunity to get a second chance, and there's going to be more stuff coming.
Yeah, we have a girl making resumes. It's just going to be a headquarters for people to come. We're going to have a relaxed area where you can sit down, play some video games, arcades, shoot the shit. We have a computer where you can fill out your job applications if you need treatment. We can only do so much. We know that we can get you professional help. We have amazing people. Like I was talking to Janine earlier. If you have a brain injury, she can help you. She can talk to you. She can be a friend, or she can put you in contact with foundations who can help you. We had other amazing guests like Matt Davies, even Mark last week, Destiny. I can go on. Aaron, they all have specialties in different things. They're all people who want to help people. So that's what Hungry for Hope headquarters, man. We just got the keys today. We just got the building. We can't wait to announce more on that. The T-shirts, it's awesome. But Janine, this is your show. We're about to get out of here. Anything you want to leave the people with?
Oh, I'm just so grateful for you guys and that you're in service to our community, to those in need. It's really awesome what you guys are doing. And to the behind-the-scenes people, too.
Jamie and Mike, they rock. They don't get enough credit.
And just, no one is alone in this world. No one is. No matter your circumstances, no matter how black a sheep you think you are, you just got to be open-minded enough to see that there are other black sheep. And a lot warmer in groups.
Absolutely, man. Kirby, I can't thank you enough for coming on the show. It was amazing.
Thank you so much, Sonny. Thanks for the opportunity.
No
Thank
problem.
you guys.
Thank you, Bobby Joe, for coming with you.
Although she's a Dallas fan.
Yeah, get out of here. I forgot about that. Tim and the people we couldn't do it without. Hungry for Hope Nation, thank you for tuning in. We are out of here.
Thank you guys so much.